It's the day after the 49ers went into Philly and annihilated the Eagles. Let's start our tour of town. Some of the food, some of the sights, some 49ers talk here from Philadelphia City Hall. We have to start with what happened along the line of scrimmage because the 49ers completely outclassed the Eagles in the trenches. San Francisco had 46 pressures. Philadelphia held only 16. Very significant because so much of the talk was, well, the 49ers offensive line is a weakness compared to Philly's offensive line, but the 49ers, boy, they turned that on its head, especially after the first couple drives, after the 49ers got their feet under them, started picking up yardage on first downs. They put their O-line in good position to make up any sort of talent gap that there might have been. And I think that's the most telling part of this domination for the 49ers. They did it in the trenches. They did it in the skill positions as well, but since they did it in the trenches, it's sustainable. And I think that they feel if they return to Philadelphia, if they have to during the playoffs, there's every reason to believe they can put up 40 points on the Eagles again, just because of how they set their line up for success and how their line responded by delivering so well against the Eagles. I'm in West Philadelphia right now. Bart's Bagels is the name. Whenever you're on the East Coast, to get a good bagel sandwich, they do that better than the West Coast does here on the East Coast. Whether you're in New York, Boston, or Philadelphia, I mean, this place, they make their own sausage patties in-house. So got that instead of the bacon, and it was very, very good. The good news is that you can work it off by, in my case, walking up the Rocky steps. Rocky is an underdog, right? So we can talk about another underdog, Brock Purdy, who is no longer an underdog. He is the favorite to win the NFL MVP award, as I predicted. If he went into Philadelphia and lit it up and looked a lot better than Jalen Hurts, which he did, Brock Purdy has grabbed command of that NFL MVP race. He's going to have a hell of an opportunity to make a final statement against Baltimore on Christmas Day. So Brock Purdy, when you look at what he did yesterday against Philadelphia's pressure, that was special. 10 out of 10 against the blitz for 213 yards. 21.3 yards per attempt for Brock Purdy yesterday against the blitz is perfect. Perfect rating, a perfect completion percentage, and obviously he sidestepped Hassan Reddick a couple times too early in the game. I think when you look at the first two drives when the 49ers struggled, it was a pass batted down. I think that led to a domino effect of struggles for the 49ers. When you notice the details, though, Hassan Reddick had a couple free shots at Brock Purdy if Purdy didn't step up. Purdy did step up. Last season against the Eagles, that's where he really struggled, right? That's when Hassan Reddick got him. Brock Purdy wasn't able to step up in the pocket, wasn't able to get the ball out in time to Brandon Ayuk. Yesterday, we saw the growth that Brock Purdy has made as a quarterback show itself against this Eagles defense, and he was able to leverage their over-aggressiveness against them. There's the Philadelphia skyline, and here is the Philadelphia Museum of Art. Samuel and McCaffrey are the two most unique skill possession players in the NFL right now, and they both play for the 49ers. I mean, Deebo Samuel, that acceleration that he has at that size too, I mean, he got 220-pound size, but the acceleration from 0 to 60 is unlike anything I've ever seen before. Then Christian McCaffrey obviously has acceleration too, but he's got a vision and a shiftiness that's so well suited for the running back position. The 49ers were in position to abuse the Eagles' back seven with just those two players, but obviously Brandon Ayuk scored the first touchdown, George Kittle made some big catches, and Brock Purdy glued it all together. The truth of the matter is the 49ers are just too talented across the board of all their. You can't cover them if they're on platform offensively. And on platform means if they have down and distance that's on schedule. If it's a manageable schedule for the 49ers, they can't cover them. And that goes back to that 49ers offensive line. If that 49ers offensive line is in a position to succeed, it will overcome any talent deficiencies that might be there. That's how Shanahan has always liked to build his teams. He wants an offensive line that is good from a run blocking standpoint and can handle stuff in pass protection, but he realizes that even the best O-line in the league is not going to succeed against the best teams if opposing pass rushes can pin their ears back, like the Eagles did on the first two drives. So Shanahan realizes that you've got to play a game on schedule. Complementary football is huge for the 49ers. They did that to set up all of those skill position weapons. I'm actually on Lombard Street in Philadelphia. There's the Lombardi Cafe right behind me. Not to be confused with Lombardi, but I know that San Francisco's got a Lombard Street as well. Philadelphia, we're bordering on South Philly here. Those beautiful brick sidewalks. And no discussion of the 49ers' dominance here in Philly is complete without talking about their cornerback position. I mean, we saw the hints of this last year in the NFC Championship game when Deommodore Lenoir and Charvarius Ward combined to allow only 2 catches for 16 yards against the Eagles. That was a bellwether for what happened this time, because they didn't give up a lot of effective completions to Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, and company. The 49ers were really on point coverage-wise, and I think, the key is Ambry Thomas. Might be the key to unlocking this whole defense. Chase Young deserves a lot of love. He had 7 pressures yesterday. Nick Bosa had 8. Nick Bosa was doing some good work against Lane Johnson, who's as tough of a matchup as there is. 49ers coaxed 10 pressures out of Jordan Mailata on the other side. But anyway, Ambry Thomas, his ability to play physical, good football at the point of the catch, that one outside cornerback position, has allowed Deommodore Lenoir to move inside. And Deommodore Lenoir is blowing people up. We saw it against DeAndre Swift to put the exclamation mark on that 49ers victory. You look at how this secondary is operating now that they don't have to play Isaiah Oliver, that they've got good change of direction across the back end. It's really making Steve Wilks look good. Steve Wilks can insert the coverage combinations that he's wanted to insert, and the 49ers are playing at a higher and higher level each subsequent week. So rush fuels coverage, coverage fuels rush. The 49ers had both of them. It was a complete defensive effort. Also, speaking of defensive backs, Samuel Womack, great play as a gunner for the 49ers on special teams. So awesome offensive effort, complete defensive effort, and special teams didn't drop the ball for the 49ers either. Just a dominant win in Philadelphia. A resounding statement in the city of cheesesteaks, in the city of Rocky, in a city that the 49ers can now lay claim to. They returned to the scene of the crime from last season's NFC Championship game, and they ended up proving that game would have gone differently had Brock Purdy not been hurt. That was the gist of all the trash talk. The 49ers showed up and they backed it up. As they said about Deebo Samuel, his actions spoke louder than words. Speaking of cheesesteaks, I decided to go gourmet. This place called Woodrow's. Big no-no to Geno's and Pat's. I went to the place that has truffle in its Cheese Whiz, but it still is Cheese Whiz. But you gotta do it as the locals do it here in Philadelphia. They cooked it fresh. And I have to say, it wasn't all that bad.